Have you ever noticed that most people spend their lives waiting for success before they feel successful, waiting for abundance before they feel secure, waiting for love before they feel complete, waiting for the world to change before they allow themselves to experience joy? But what if that approach is backwards? What if the feeling you have been waiting for is actually the very thing that creates the result? What if the secret is not in chasing your goal, struggling for it, or constantly wondering when it will arrive? What if the true power lies in feeling as though it is already yours? Today, we are going to explore one of the most life-changing principles you can ever understand: the power of feeling your goal as already achieved. This is not about wishful thinking. It is not about pretending. It is about transforming your inner world so completely that your mind, emotions, and expectations begin operating from the reality you desire rather than the reality you currently see. Most people live from their circumstances. They let the outside world determine how they feel on the inside. But those who create extraordinary results learn to reverse this process. They generate the feeling first. They cultivate confidence before success appears. They experience gratitude before receiving. They embody fulfillment before evidence arrives. Imagine how your life would change if you stopped waiting for permission to feel successful. Imagine waking up every day with the certainty that what you desire is already unfolding. Imagine carrying the calm confidence of someone whose goal is not a distant dream, but an inevitable reality. As you listen to this message, allow yourself to consider a new possibility: that the future you desire may begin the moment you start feeling it now. Because when the feeling changes, everything begins to change. There is a powerful truth that many people overlook when pursuing their goals. The future is often shaped not by what you want, but by what you consistently feel to be true. Most people spend their lives wishing, hoping. They desire success, abundance, love, health, or achievement, yet they continue to feel as though these things are distant from them. Their thoughts may be focused on what they want, but their emotions remain attached to the fact that they do not yet have it. This creates a conflict between desire and belief. The mind says, "I want it," while the feelings say, "I don't have it." And in that gap, progress often feels slow and uncertain. The secret is not simply in having a goal. Nearly everyone has goals. The real power lies in developing the feeling that the goal has already been achieved. This is what transforms a wish into a living reality within your consciousness. When you emotionally accept something as accomplished, you begin thinking, acting, and responding from a completely different state of mind. Instead of operating from longing, you begin operating from fulfillment. Instead of focusing on absence, you focus on possession. This shift changes everything. Think about how you would feel if your greatest desire became reality today. If the opportunity you've been waiting for suddenly arrived, if the financial breakthrough happened, if the relationship flourished, or if the dream you've held for years finally came true, how would you feel? There would likely be relief. There would be gratitude. There would be confidence and certainty. There would be a sense of peace because the struggle would be over. Those emotions are not merely reactions to success, they are powerful creative forces in themselves. Most people postpone these emotions until after the result appears. They tell themselves they will feel secure when they have more money. They will feel confident when they receive recognition. They will feel successful when they achieve a certain milestone. But this approach keeps fulfillment trapped in the future. It places happiness at the end of a journey that never seems to arrive. The more effective approach is to cultivate those feelings now, not because you are pretending, but because you are training yourself to live from the reality you desire rather than the limitations you currently observe. Your feelings influence the way you see the world. A person who feels defeated notices obstacles everywhere. A person who feels hopeful notices possibilities. A person who feels confident sees opportunities where others see risks. The emotional state you occupy becomes a lens through which you interpret life. This is why the feeling of the wish fulfilled is so powerful. It changes your perception before it changes your circumstances. Imagine two individuals pursuing the same goal. One constantly worries about whether it will happen. They check for results every day. They doubt themselves. They become discouraged whenever progress seems slow. The other person has developed the feeling that success is already unfolding. They remain calm. They remain confident. They trust the process. Even though both individuals may be taking similar actions, their inner experiences are completely different. Over time, those differences influence their decisions, persistence, and overall results. One of the reasons this principle works so effectively is that your subconscious mind responds strongly to repeated emotional experiences. The feelings you return to most often become familiar. What becomes familiar begins to feel natural, and what feels natural starts influencing your expectations. If you repeatedly feel disappointment, disappointment becomes expected. If you repeatedly feel confidence, confidence becomes expected. The emotional atmosphere you create within yourself gradually becomes the foundation of your outer experience. This does not mean every desire appears instantly. It means that your internal state begins moving into harmony with the future you want to create. Instead of being divided between hope and doubt, you become aligned. Your thoughts, emotions, and expectations start pointing in the same direction. This alignment creates momentum. It allows you to move through life with greater certainty and less resistance. The challenge for most people is persistence. It is easy to feel positive for a few moments. It is easy to imagine success for a day. The real transformation happens when you continue returning to the feeling of fulfillment even when circumstances have not yet changed. This is where faith becomes important. Faith is not blind optimism. It is the willingness to remain loyal to an inner vision despite temporary appearances. Remember, every great achievement was once invisible. Every success existed in someone's imagination before it appeared in the world. The future you desire is no different. It begins as an internal reality before it becomes an external fact. The more deeply you accept the feeling of its fulfillment, the more naturally your thoughts, actions, and opportunities begin aligning with it. So stop waiting for the world to give you permission to feel successful, abundant, loved, or fulfilled. Begin experiencing those emotions now. Allow yourself to feel the relief, gratitude, confidence, and joy that would naturally accompany the realization of your goal. Make those feelings familiar. Make them your new normal. Because the future is not created only by what you do. It is also shaped by what you consistently feel to be true. And when the feeling of the wish fulfilled becomes your dominant state, you begin building a future that reflects it. One of the greatest obstacles standing between people and their goals is not a lack of ability, opportunity, or resources. It is the habit of constantly wanting. At first, this may sound strange because wanting something appears natural. If you desire success, of course you want it. If you dream of abundance, health, recognition, or a better future, wanting seems like the obvious starting point. However, there is a hidden problem with remaining in a state of wanting for too long. Wanting continually reminds you that what you desire is not yet yours. It keeps your attention focused on the distance between where you are and where you wish to be. Think about the language people often use. They say, I want to be successful, I want more money, I want a better life, I want happiness. While these statements express desire, they also reinforce the idea that the goal exists somewhere outside of the present moment. Every time a person repeats them, they strengthen the feeling of not having. Their focus remains fixed on absence rather than fulfillment. As a result, they continue experiencing life from the perspective of someone who is waiting rather than someone who is becoming. The real shift occurs when you move beyond wanting and begin living from the assumption that your desire is already part of your identity. Instead of thinking about what you hope to become someday, you start identifying with that version of yourself now. This does not mean pretending that circumstances have changed overnight. It means changing the way you relate to yourself. It means stepping into the mindset, emotions, and expectations of the person you wish to be. Imagine someone who wants confidence. They spend years hoping to become confident one day. They read books, watch videos, and search for techniques, yet they continue identifying as a person who lacks confidence. Every effort is made from the belief that confidence is missing. Now imagine someone who begins living from confidence. They ask themselves, how would I think if I were already confident? How would I speak? How would I carry myself? Little by little, they start embodying those qualities. They stop waiting for confidence to arrive and begin expressing it in the present. Their identity changes first, and their experiences follow. The same principle applies to every goal. If you desire abundance, begin thinking from abundance rather than constantly thinking about the lack of it. If you desire success, begin seeing yourself as someone who succeeds rather than someone who is struggling to succeed. If you desire meaningful relationships, begin feeling worthy of love and connection rather than focusing on loneliness. The shift may seem subtle, but it is profound. It moves you from a state of longing into a state of embodiment. Many people unknowingly delay their progress because they remain emotionally attached to wanting. They enjoy imagining a better future, but they never fully accept it as possible in the present. Their thoughts remain trapped in phrases like someday and one day. Yet life often responds to the identity you occupy now, not the identity you hope to occupy later. The future begins changing when you start living as though the qualities you seek are already yours. Living from your desire changes your emotional state. Wanting often creates frustration because it highlights what is missing. Living from fulfillment creates peace because it emphasizes what is possible. A person who is constantly wanting tends to feel anxious and impatient. A person who is living from their desired state feels calm and certain. They are no longer obsessed with how or when things will happen because they have already accepted the outcome internally. This internal acceptance influences behavior in powerful ways. When you identify as someone who already possesses the qualities you desire, your decisions naturally begin reflecting that identity. You become more confident in your choices. You take actions that align with your vision. You stop settling for circumstances that contradict your self-concept. Instead of reacting to life from a place of lack, you begin responding from a place of confidence and expectation. There is also a sense of freedom that comes with this shift. When you stop constantly wanting, you release the pressure and desperation that often accompany desire. You no longer feel as though your happiness depends on some future event. You discover that fulfillment is something you can cultivate now. Ironically, this relaxed certainty often allows opportunities to emerge more naturally because you are no longer resisting the present moment. Think about the people who seem most successful, fulfilled, and confident. They are rarely consumed by the feeling of wanting. They carry themselves as though success belongs to them. They expect positive outcomes. They trust their abilities. They live from an inner certainty that influences everything they do. Their achievements are often a reflection of the identity they have already accepted. So stop treating your goal as something distant. Stop placing your dreams on a pedestal. Stop telling yourself that fulfillment will begin only after certain conditions are met. Instead, start living from the reality you desire. Think from it. Feel from it. Make decisions from it. Allow it to become part of your identity today. Because the moment you stop merely wanting your goal and start living from it, you begin closing the gap between imagination and reality. The future you seek becomes less of a distant possibility and more of a natural extension of who you are. And when that happens, life begins responding to you in ways that can transform everything. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances without ever considering the condition of their inner world. They focus on changing jobs, changing relationships, changing locations, changing routines, and changing external conditions, hoping that these changes will finally bring them happiness, success, or fulfillment. Yet, no matter how much the outer world shifts, they often find themselves facing the same patterns repeatedly. The reason is simple but profound. Your outer experience is often a reflection of your inner state. The beliefs you hold, the emotions you repeatedly entertain, and the assumptions you accept as true have a powerful influence on the reality you experience. Most people believe that circumstances create feelings. They think they feel confident because they are successful. They think they feel secure because they have money. They think they feel happy because life is going well. In this way of thinking, the outside world is seen as the source of emotional experience. However, there is another perspective that changes everything. What if your dominant feelings and assumptions are helping shape the circumstances that appear in your life? What if your inner state is not merely reacting to reality, but participating in its creation? Think about two individuals facing the exact same situation. One sees opportunity while the other sees difficulty. One remains hopeful while the other becomes discouraged. One expects positive outcomes while the other anticipates disappointment. The external circumstances may be identical, yet their experiences are completely different. Why? Because their inner states are different. The meaning they assign to events, the expectations they carry, and the beliefs they hold influence how they experience the world around them. Your inner state acts like a filter. It determines what you notice, what you focus on, and how you interpret events. A person who expects failure often notices every obstacle and every reason something might go wrong. Their attention naturally gravitates toward limitations. On the other hand, a person who expects success tends to notice possibilities, solutions, and opportunities. Their attention is directed toward what can go right. Over time, these differences in focus create very different experiences. One of the most important things to understand is that your assumptions become self-reinforcing. If you believe you are not worthy of success, you may hesitate when opportunities arise. You may doubt yourself when challenges appear. You may avoid taking action because you fear failure. As a result, your behavior begins producing outcomes that seem to confirm your original belief. The cycle continues. But if you believe you are capable, valuable, and deserving of success, you approach life differently. You act with greater confidence. You remain persistent when obstacles arise. You stay open to opportunities. Your behavior changes, and the results often change with it. Many people are waiting for circumstances to improve before they allow themselves to feel better. They say, once I achieve my goal, I'll be confident. Once I have more money, I'll feel secure. Once things improve, I'll be happy. But this approach places all power in the future. It assumes that inner peace and confidence depend entirely on external events. The problem is that this mindset often keeps fulfillment just out of reach, There is always another goal, another challenge, another reason to postpone happiness. The real transformation begins when you realize that you can choose your inner state before circumstances change. You can cultivate confidence before success appears. You can develop gratitude before receiving the result. You can experience peace before every problem is solved. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to allow current conditions to dictate your emotional life. It means becoming the source of the qualities you wish to experience. When you consistently occupy a new inner state, something remarkable happens. Your perception changes, your expectations change, your decisions change. The opportunities you notice begin changing. The people you attract may change. The actions you take become more aligned with the future you desire. Gradually, the outer world starts reflecting the transformation that has already occurred within. This principle can be observed in every area of life. A person who feels abundant often notices opportunities for growth and prosperity. A person who feels love tends to attract healthier relationships. A person who feels confident carries themselves differently and receives different responses from others. The inner state becomes the foundation from which external experiences emerge. Of course, this requires consistency. One positive thought is not enough. One moment of confidence is not enough. Transformation occurs when a new state becomes familiar. It becomes the place you return to repeatedly. Over time, what once felt unnatural begins to feel normal. Confidence becomes natural. Gratitude becomes natural. Success becomes natural. The inner world shifts and the outer world gradually follows. So, if there is something in your life you wish to change, begin by looking within. Ask yourself what assumptions you are carrying. Ask yourself what emotions dominate your daily experience. Ask yourself whether your inner state is aligned with the future you desire. Because lasting change rarely begins on the outside, it begins within. Your outer experience is often a mirror reflecting your inner condition. Change the image within, and the reflection begins to change as well. When you cultivate the inner state of the person you wish to become, you create the foundation for a new reality to emerge. That is the power of understanding that your inner state determines your outer experience. One of the most difficult yet rewarding lessons a person can learn is how to trust the process after deciding upon a desired outcome. Many people can imagine success for a few moments. They can picture their goals, dream about a better future, and feel inspired by the possibilities. But the challenge often begins after that initial moment of belief. They start wondering how it will happen. They question when it will happen. They look for signs, demand proof, and become anxious when immediate results do not appear. In doing so, they move from faith into doubt, from confidence into worry, and from certainty into struggle. The truth is that assuming the outcome is only the beginning. Once you have accepted a vision of your future, the next step is learning to trust the process that leads to it. This requires patience, confidence, and a willingness to allow events to unfold naturally. It means understanding that not everything happens instantly. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean movement is not occurring. Some of the most important developments in life happen beneath the surface, long before they become visible. Think about planting a seed in the ground. The moment you place it in the soil, the process begins. Yet for a period of time, nothing appears on the surface. If you judged solely by appearances, you might conclude that nothing is happening. But beneath the ground, roots are forming. Growth is taking place. Life is emerging in ways you cannot yet observe. The same principle applies to your goals and dreams. Once you have accepted a desired outcome internally, there is often a period during which progress is invisible. During that time, trust becomes essential. Many people interrupt their own progress because they constantly dig up the seed to check whether it is growing. They analyze every circumstance, question every delay, and become discouraged whenever reality does not immediately match their expectations. Their attention shifts away from the outcome they have chosen and becomes focused on the absence of visible evidence. This creates frustration and uncertainty. Instead of living from confidence, they begin reacting to appearances. Trusting the process means refusing to let temporary circumstances dictate your long-term belief. It means understanding that delays are not necessarily denials. It means recognizing that what you desire may be developing through channels you cannot yet see. Opportunities, relationships, ideas, and breakthroughs often require time to unfold. The fact that you do not currently see the complete picture does not mean progress is not occurring. One reason trust is so important is because your emotional state influences your experience. When you are constantly worried about outcomes, you create tension. You become impatient. You focus on what is missing rather than what is possible. But when you trust the process, you experience a sense of calm. You stop forcing. You stop obsessing. You allow yourself to move through life with confidence rather than fear. This inner peace creates a stronger foundation for growth and progress. Consider how differently a person behaves when they trust. They remain patient during challenges. They continue taking positive action even when results are not immediate. They maintain their vision despite setbacks. Their confidence allows them to stay committed while others abandon their goals. This persistence often becomes one of the key factors separating success from disappointment. Trusting the process also means releasing the need to control every detail. Many people become attached not only to the outcome, but also to a specific path they believe must lead to it. They decide exactly how success should arrive, exactly who should be involved, and exactly when it should happen. When reality unfolds differently, they become frustrated. Yet life often delivers opportunities in unexpected ways. The path may look different than you imagined, but the destination can still be reached. There is wisdom in understanding that you do not need to know every step in advance. You only need enough faith to take the next step. Each day provides an opportunity to move forward, learn, grow, and remain aligned with your vision. As long as you continue doing this, progress is being made. Trust allows you to remain open to possibilities that your current perspective may not yet reveal. The most successful people often possess this quality. They do not allow temporary obstacles to destroy their confidence. They do not abandon their goals because results take longer than expected. They understand that achievement requires both vision and patience. They trust that consistent belief and action will eventually produce results. So once you have assumed the outcome you desire, stop returning to doubt. Stop asking whether it is possible. Stop measuring your progress solely by immediate appearances. Instead, trust that the process is unfolding. Trust that unseen forces are at work. Trust that every step, every lesson, and every experience is contributing to your growth. Hold your vision with confidence. Continue moving forward with faith. Allow patience to replace anxiety and certainty to replace fear. Remember that the seed does not grow because it is constantly checked. It grows because it is given time, nourishment, and trust. In the same way, your dreams often require space to develop. Trust the process after you assume the outcome. What you have accepted in your mind today may already be moving toward realization, even if you cannot yet see the evidence. Stay faithful, stay patient, and allow life to reveal the path one step at a time. One of the greatest mistakes people make when pursuing a goal is expecting an immediate transformation after a single moment of inspiration. They hear an empowering idea, feel motivated for a day or two, and then become discouraged when circumstances do not instantly change. They assume that because they imagined success once, felt confident once, or experienced hope for a short period, the results should already be visible. But real transformation does not come from a single moment. It comes from persistence. It comes from returning to a chosen state again and again until it becomes natural. Every meaningful change in life requires repetition. Think about any skill you have ever learned. Whether it was reading, writing, driving, speaking, or mastering a profession, none of these abilities became natural overnight. They developed through consistent practice. At first, they required effort and concentration. Over time, they became familiar. Eventually, they became automatic. The same principle applies to your inner world. The feelings, assumptions, and beliefs you repeatedly return to eventually become part of your identity. Most people spend years practicing limitation without realizing it. They repeatedly think thoughts of doubt, worry, fear, and uncertainty. They tell themselves the same stories about why success is difficult, why opportunities are scarce, or why their goals are out of reach. Because these thoughts have been repeated so often, they feel natural. They seem true simply because they are familiar. Yet familiarity does not necessarily mean accuracy. It only means something has been practiced consistently. The encouraging truth is that you can create new patterns. You can choose a new emotional state and return to it repeatedly until it becomes your new normal. If your goal is success, begin practicing the feeling of success. If your goal is confidence, begin practicing confidence. If your goal is abundance, begin practicing abundance. At first, it may feel unfamiliar. It may even feel uncomfortable because it contradicts old habits of thinking. But that discomfort is often a sign that change is taking place. Imagine a person who has spent years believing they are not capable. Every challenge reinforces that belief. Every setback seems to confirm it. Then one day, they decide to adopt a different assumption. They begin seeing themselves as capable and successful. Initially, this new identity feels unnatural. Their old thoughts attempt to pull them back. Doubt appears. Fear appears. Yet if they persist, something remarkable happens. The new belief becomes stronger. Confidence begins replacing uncertainty. What once felt impossible starts feeling normal. This is why persistence matters so much. The goal is not simply to experience the feeling of fulfillment once. The goal is to make that feeling so familiar that it becomes your dominant state. You want confidence to feel natural. You want gratitude to feel natural. You want success to feel natural. You want abundance to feel natural. When these states become familiar, your thoughts, actions, and expectations begin aligning with them automatically. Many people abandon their new assumptions too quickly because they continue judging progress by external appearances. They feel confident for a few days, then look around and notice that circumstances have not yet changed. As a result, they return to old patterns of thinking. But lasting change requires patience. The inner shift often happens before the outer evidence appears. Just because results are not immediately visible does not mean progress is not occurring. Think about how a river shapes stone. It does not accomplish this through a single drop of water. It does so through continuous flow. Day after day, the water moves in the same direction until even the hardest surfaces begin to change. Your repeated feelings and assumptions work in a similar way. They gradually reshape your self-concept, your expectations, and ultimately your experiences. The power lies not in intensity alone, but in consistency. Persistence also helps you develop emotional independence from circumstances. Instead of allowing every event to determine how you feel, you begin choosing your state deliberately. You stop reacting to temporary conditions and start living from a deeper sense of certainty. This creates stability. You are no longer controlled by every success or setback because your confidence comes from within rather than from external validation. The people who achieve extraordinary things often possess this quality. They remain loyal to their vision when others lose faith. They continue believing when evidence is limited. They return to their chosen state again and again until it becomes stronger than doubt. Over time, this persistence transforms not only their mindset, but also the opportunities and experiences that enter their lives. So if you have chosen a goal, do not merely visit the feeling of its fulfillment occasionally. Live there. Return to it daily. Nurture it. Strengthen it. Let it become familiar. Let it become comfortable. Let it become part of who you are. Do not be discouraged if it feels unnatural at first. Every new identity feels unfamiliar before it becomes established. Remember, the feelings you practice most often become the reality you experience most consistently. Persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Persist in confidence. Persist in gratitude. Persist in certainty. Continue returning to the state you desire until it feels completely natural. Because when a feeling becomes natural, it stops being something you try to create. It becomes who you are. And when it becomes who you are, the world around you begins reflecting it in ways that can transform your life. As we come to the end of this message, remember this powerful truth: your greatest transformation does not begin when circumstances change. It begins when you change your relationship with those circumstances. The world teaches you to wait for results before feeling fulfilled. But the deeper secret is that fulfillment comes first. The feeling of confidence comes first. The feeling of abundance comes first. The feeling of success comes first. And from that state, new experiences begin to emerge. You do not have to wait until every condition is perfect. You do not have to wait until every obstacle disappears. You do not have to wait until someone gives you permission to believe in yourself. The power is available right now. In this moment, you can choose the feeling of the person you wish to become. Feel the relief of already having your desire. Feel the gratitude of knowing it is done. Feel the confidence of someone whose future is secure. Hold that feeling gently but consistently. Return to it whenever doubt appears. Return to it whenever circumstances try to convince you otherwise. Remember, your outer world often follows the direction of your inner state. When you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you stop living as a person who is hoping and waiting. You begin living as a person who knows. And when you know, life has a remarkable way of reorganizing itself around that certainty. So leave today with a new commitment. Do not merely think about your goals, feel them. Do not merely wish for a better future. Experience it within. Let your emotions become aligned with the reality you desire, and watch how differently your journey begins to unfold. The power has always been closer than you imagine. It has always been within you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I truly appreciate your presence, your attention, and your willingness to explore these powerful ideas. If this message inspired you, take a moment to support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who may need this reminder today. Every interaction helps these messages reach more people who are seeking encouragement, confidence, and a new perspective on life. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Write these words: "I feel it now." Let that simple statement become your declaration that you are choosing to live from the feeling of your desired reality. Thank you for being part of this growing community. Thank you for your trust and your time. Until our next message together, continue believing in your possibilities, continue nurturing the feeling of fulfillment, and continue becoming the person you know you are capable of being. Take care, stay inspired, and remember, What you consistently feel within has the power to shape what you experience without.